Thank you. Thank you, Vince. Thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to be here and share with you all. Good morning. And yeah, as Vince said, I'm the legislator, at Electrical. We have a functional constituency, 30 members representing different sectors. So one of them is tech and innovation, which is me. So anything related to tech, I sort of jump in and give my view. So before joining Electrical, actually I've been a tech investor for 20 odd years. So I invest globally. So when we're investors, we look at the deal, we look at the team. The first thing we think is these technology or what these guys are doing, what is it going to be in 10 years, right? Because we want to have return in 10 years. And we study technology. So when I become a legislator, the first thing is when we legislate against something, the first thing we see is how big is the market? What is it going to be in 10 years? So in terms of Web3, you all know that, Hong Kong, we have a lot of initiative. If you ask me in 10 years, what I see is, all financial, what I call the convergence of financial products and digitally created products. So these convergence, what I call is, all financial products that we see today will go on-chain. That's one thing. The other thing is all the digitally created assets, including Bitcoin, NFT, etc., they will go not be regulated, but they will have the financial natures. Things like Hong Kong issuing the Bitcoin ETF, it is a financial product, right? So these digitally created products, how they will fit within the framework of financial markets. This is actually the convergence that we're going to see. So to start with this, I want to borrow a report from McKenzie last year. So what it says is, we're building a great infrastructure, for cryptos, digital assets that we have today. And this framework actually works for other items. This is wonderful. Efficiency, transparency, ease of use is cheap, right? And, all the good thing about that we built with blockchain on crypto and, crypto-related products. It actually works for financial products. It enhances our financial products. And what they forecast is in the next 10 years, the framework, the infrastructure that we're building that serve only crypto will serve many other asset items, games, social media, payment. Maybe, we have RWA that serve like computing power, you name it, whatever things you can think about. So these infrastructure will only work on different financial items. And traditional industries, traditional financial institutions, they will onboard more items, into this framework. And this will go parallel. We will have these traditional settlement system, banking system, going forward. But we're going to build up another infrastructure that, we will host all traditional financial items and also non-traditional financial items, which are cryptos, NFTs, etc., RWAs, etc. So this will coexist for 10 years until everything just go digital, everything just go on-chain. So in this 10 years, they also make assumption by 2030, items that will actually go on-chain. These are the tokenized assets that they forecast will happen in 2030, amount to $2 trillion. And we see that these are no-brainer. For us today, people in this room, you are all in this sector. These are things we all have done, right? Funds, ETF, tokenized loans, tokenized bonds, tokenized equity. These are things that we already have the framework to do. But it takes time for traditional FIs, financial institutions, to really move their assets on-chain. And they also gave out some scenario estimations, how big the market will be in 2030. If a slower adoption mode, 0.8 trillion. If a more accelerated adoption mode, 3.8 trillion. So with these, we have to look at the baseline for making this assumption. Number one is regulations. If it's slower adoptions, regulatory challenges remain high. That means a slower adoption rate. If we have more permissive regulations, then we have accelerated options. So what they anticipate, which I believe very much, is because these are all financial products. So whether we have a regulatory regime to provide trust to this tradable item is the number one reason for how fast it will be adopted in the market by mass media. So I think this is a consensus, not just in the financial institutions, but also really crypto-native people are looking for regulatory regime to cover all these assets. These are the reasons. We have to have collaborations, interactions between fiat and crypto-native assets, and we need platform that people can trust. So this is what we are doing in Hong Kong, provide the regulatory framework. So we will accelerate this. The next is infrastructure enabler. I'll talk about this as well. For the infrastructure enabler, that means financial institutions, traditional financial institutions, they still control majority of people's investments. So apart from regulation, how these big guys, traditional financial institutions, they will adopt, the interaction of financial assets, tokenization of originally traditional financial assets, and the interaction between them and digitally created assets. Whether they are trust, whether they're system, the interoperability, the security issue related, these are all that we have to build so that traditional financial institutions will get on the boat and help build all these products and get everything on chain. So this is not a 1-2 year thing, this is a 10-year thing. And we have examples here and there. We have banks that actually have done different kind of tokenized issuance. It's not small, 400. This is a small demonstration. We have a bigger one in Hong Kong, the 800 million Hong Kong dollar green bond tokenizations. So here and there, but you can see the intermediary, the supplier of these solutions. These are not traditional solutions for a bank. A bank using Fireblocks, Stellar. So these are the example that Web3 or crypto-native companies and even startups are supplying the solution to traditional FIs. Another example in these, commodities, tokenizations. So examples are all there. We can all see the benefits. And, I think traditional banks takes time, but, we have faith in the technology that this is going to happen. And why Hong Kong? I have to say a spillword about Hong Kong. So, we all know, what you have, but for people that traveling here, the legal system, the flow of capital, and, the financial systems that we have, the professionals that we have in Hong Kong, these provide trust for people to any assets being legislated and regulated in Hong Kong. I think that's very important because when we talk about investment, number one thing is trust. Whether it's a trustworthy item, this is how you put your money there. And people also doubt Hong Kong as a financial center. I'll have this quote our financial secretary in many of the sharing recently. There were economic downturn, mainland Hong Kong, for the last few years. COVID also hit us back. But, look at the money being managed in Hong Kong. It actually never dropped. AUM, asset under management, but a lot of funds related, 30 trillion Hong Kong around. This is last year, so it goes up a bit this year as well. So money in banking system, 30 trillion Hong Kong dollar, it never actually dropped. It's just that, with the high interest rate sentiment, people are more conservative. Money circulation is slower. There were less investment activities happening, but the money was still in the system. So these are, the Hong Kong MA numbers, and I think these are the fact that in Hong Kong, why we should do Web3, because there are so many financial products being issued in Hong Kong. Doesn't matter it's equity, bonds, debts whatsoever, is still there. So having a tokenization trial in Hong Kong makes sense, and with our regulatory regime. What we've done so far, people will say Hong Kong starts late. Yeah, we actually start quite late. We haven't actually have a clear attitude towards digital assets in Hong Kong. But a lot of these companies were started in Hong Kong. We all know that a lot of the Web3 native companies were started in Hong Kong without government intervention or a clear regulatory roadmap until 2022. So it's only, you can see in the news that it's only 2 years. It's only been 2 years since the financial secretaries in 2022 issued a statement on virtual assets that we welcome, and the asset is here to stay, and we should explore, Hong Kong, what we can do. So within these 2 years, what we have done is we've done the licensing regime at LegCo for virtual asset exchange. So we issued 2 license, OSL hash key, and we now have 11 deemed license applicants. I hope, Financial Secretary has also mentioned, I hope we will have these full license issue ASAP. So there will be a few more V8 exchange. And we have issued products led by the government. So the government should be the pioneer. If we trust tokenization, we should try it ourselves. So the government issued a green bond, which is 800 million Hong Kong dollar. I think there will be more different items led by the government initiative to issue tokenized financial products. So we can try out different things and show the market what it is, and we should build up the broker-dealer mechanism, the regime, who can buy, who not to buy, what to, whether this is for institutional, that is for retail investors. These are things we have to build up here. And apart from the VATP, we also have a Sandbox in the Stablecoin. I'll touch on these later, but this is only what we've done in 2 years. And give us another 12 to 18 months, possibly we'll wrap up all the legislations. I'll touch on this later. So this is from the policy address, which Chief Executive just announced 2 weeks ago. This is a summary I did about things that he mentioned that are related to digital assets. One is, we have this stablecoin Sandbox. We have 3 applicants into the Sandbox. And likely the Sandbox, the stablecoin legislation regime will be tabled at LegCo next month, maybe. And give us 2 or 3 months to do the legislation debate. Possibly first Q next year, we're going to have the stablecoin regime. So we can accept further applicants to issue stablecoin in Hong Kong. And VAOTC, virtual asset over the counter, which is the physical store that carry virtual assets or digital assets transactions. The store you see on street side selling, trading Bitcoins, etc. So the VAOTC regime, we have done 2 consultations. Hopefully next year, it will also come through to LegCo. So once we approve these, so we then have the virtual platform, the exchanges license out in Hong Kong, and then we will have these physical regulations, physical stores regulations regimes in Hong Kong, where we govern all the physical store trading, wholesale, distributor, etc. And then government, as I said, will promote tokenizations. I have a few slides later to talk about this. We will have a project Ensemble to create use cases in tokenization in various financial items in Hong Kong. And this thing I can claim a little credit in, which is the virtual asset custodian service. I think custodian service is important for us to build up the market, because a lot of the original traditional custodian service provider, they doesn't understand crypto and different nature of crypto trading. So the government originally thought we don't need this regime, but I draw a few session of meeting with different government bureau, and I'm happy to see in the policy address 2 weeks ago, the chief executive put this in his policy address that we're going to set up the VA custodian service regime. So hopefully this will come to us next year. So when this is passed, we will have a clear guideline for VA custodian service in Hong Kong as well under a licensing regime. And of course, CBDC is important. We've been working a lot on CBDC. Hong Kong MA also made a clear announcement of the CBDC roadmap that they did, and the project Ensemble. I'll go through these in the later stage. Yeah, mBridge is the mechanism that we trial CBDC in Hong Kong by the Hong Kong MA, and we try that with cross-border transactions. So paving the way for CBDC to have transaction with other country in terms of a digital money. And with that, we also have to look into the CBDC usage in retail sector, not just cross-border, how we use CBDC in the market. And there are demonstrations here and there. You know, mainland China has actually, I think they're the forerunner for CBDC. They try out many sessions in how to issue eRMB in the market and how to make circulations. Singapore has a big trials. You know, we call, let's say, the purpose-built money. They have several paper written on how they do CBDC, e-Singapore dollar. So, you know, we have different trial and how to make this work, because CBDC, stablecoin, cryptos, and different digitized asset products, we have to have, you know, collaborations and transactions between all these. We have to try out, you know, all the, you know, different native, whether you call it financial asset or currencies, and see, you know, how they react together. The security related, cross-chain native performance, etc., etc. So these are the things that we have to try to have trial to go through. And Stablecoin, this is the public consultation last year. I won't go into it with time limit. It's all public, so you all know, you know, with the consultation paper, what we table the future stablecoin regime is like. Of course, this is not final version because they have to come to LegCo, and we have to do LegCo debate, and we have to exchange our thoughts. So there might still be changes to the paper subject to the LegCo discussions. And we have freed Sandbox participants right now. Very solid consortium with also different approach when they come in, a bit different approach. You know, some they serve cross-border payment, and then there are other that have very strong Hong Kong establishments in different sector, and you know, so they have different angle, but I think they will all provide a good example of new stablecoins to be issued. And Project Ensemble, as I mentioned, is the Hong Kong MA's program. So you know, lead by government, we have to push. As I mentioned, you know, you want to have adoption of a big adoption of these virtual asset products, and you know, getting tokenized everything. Number one is regulations. So in terms of regulations, as I listed out earlier, the VOTC, stablecoin, custodian regime, the broker-dealer regime, and you know, the exchange license issuance. Basically, I think a lot of the things that we have to cover by the legislation will be wrapped up in the next 12, 18 months. You know, maybe some of the other things not covered, maybe like DAO, you know, things that people are concerned with. But I mean, most of the other things to enhance the trading of virtual asset and fiat, you know, regulatory regime will be wrapped up in 18 months. And the next is getting these big financial institutions to buy in. So getting big financial institutions to buy in for now is still I wouldn't say obstacle, but, you know, big firms, they are slow, you know, in migrating to tokenizations. So they need an incentive, you know, to actually lead people to really try tokenizations and moving their assets on chain. So these are the projects that with the project Ensemble, the Hong Kong MA is inviting, or maybe incentivizing, you know, all the financial institutions in working out different projects. And these are, you know, major financial institutions in Hong Kong, and they work with tech companies. These are some examples that I list out. There's actually more than 4. There's, I think, around 20 cases that they're working. And, you know, that actually cover all financial items that we have today and lead to different tokenizations options. So that's basically the roadmap in Hong Kong. From the regulatory regime, welcome any suggestions, and I think the next 12, 18 months we'll see a very with the legislation done, will provide a clear roadmap for people. Actually, doesn't matter you're a crypto native or you are financial institutions trying to do tokenizations. We lay out all these foundation and restrictions in what you can do and not to do, and then the market. The market side adoption led by Project Ensemble is also something that the government is pushing forward. So in short, I think there's still a long way to go in the next 5 to 10 years. I think that these tokenizations of financial products and the convergence of digitally created product into the financial systems is a huge market that we'll do in Hong Kong, and I'm happy to be part of it. And the time is up. So any suggestions, any idea about Web3, feel free to contact me. My email is duncan@duncan.hk, which is easy to remember. Thank you.